Hello everyone and welcome back to our Rep Your Womanhood series. Today I have someone very special here, Nyakio Grieco. She's here doing our Rep Your Womanhood series, the third person we're interviewing here, and we are so excited. I can't wait to share her story with you all at home. Now, I've known Nyakio for a long time. She used to come to my fitness classes here when I was teaching in LA. And one of the first things that I noticed about her was how sweet and loving she was to the people around her, because that's kind of very rare that you see that. I just naturally picked up on that in your ambiance in the classes and in the studio. She's a wife, she's a mother of two beautiful kids. She's built two businesses. She has Nykaio Beauty, which is now sold in Target,
yes.
So congratulations.
Thank you.
And then she also built 13 Loon, which was launched in the year of 2020,
yes.
which is crazy that you did that. That's very impressive.
Thank you.
She volunteers her time for organizations such as Girls Inc. and Art of Elysium. I mean, seriously, what do you not do? I'm so happy to have her here. Thank you for taking the time to come and do this with us.
I'm so honored to be here and really, really proud of all you're building as well.
Thank you so much. So as successful as you are with your career, you still make time for your family and helping out with local charities. Mm-hmm. How do you manage to find time to do it all? And what would be some key organizational tools that help keep you on track?
That's such a great question. I mean, I think first and foremost, it's going easy on myself. You know, I think we all, you know, I honestly don't think that we can do it all, but I think that we can work really hard at focusing on what's important in the moment. So, you know, sometimes my family's getting 80% and everything else is getting 20%. Sometimes it's work that's getting 80%, and sadly on those days the family's having to function on their own and figure out things for themselves and getting the opportunity to do it. And then, you know, when it comes to, you know, the work that I do with Girls Inc. or Art of Elysium or any of the organizations that I'm passionate about, it's really just about building it into my life. So, you know, things like Girls Inc. have really become part of my business and part of a pillar of my business. And so it is work that I am so fulfilled by, but it is part of my job. And I think when you look at how are you being better for the collective and giving back, like what are you doing to make the world a better place, and you build it into the structure of your life, whether it's work or work from home, you find that it's not really that hard, and it's actually something that for me is a welcome relief in a work day to be able to give my time in that way.
Yeah. I like that. I mean, sometimes I feel like, I love how you started off just saying like just being kind to myself and giving myself like some grace, because when you do try to do it all and then you get hard on yourself, like I haven't been able to accomplish this or that, it's like, no, give yourself some grace. You are doing good.
Absolutely. And I think it's okay. You know, I know that especially as women, as moms with families, and you know, working inside the home is just as hard as working outside of the home. That we do put a lot of pressure on ourselves to do it all perfectly, and like there's no such thing as perfect. And so I do find that, you know, even with my kids, when I have those crazy work days, or, you know, back before COVID when I was traveling a lot for work, that it's really a good skill for them to learn how to do things on their own, and things that maybe I'm not around to do has helped them to excel in their own lives and learn, you know, tricks and tips of taking care of themselves that I think empower them and give them confidence. So, you know, I'm happy to have the balance that isn't really balanced, because it just is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I think so much we strive for this thing in society that says like find balance.
Right.
But I'm kind of in alignment with that too. Like there really is no such thing as balance. Because like you were saying, it's like an 80-20. Like you're going to give in different areas on different days.
Right.
But you'll end up making it work as long as your heart is in the right place with what you're trying to do.
Absolutely. Yeah. It is the joys of life, and sometimes it's not joyful, but it is, you know, it's just life.
It is. Well, I love how your family traditions and roots played such a big role in the birth of Nykaio Beauty. Can you tell us about how you came up with the idea and how you were inspired to launch your own brand?
Yeah, definitely. So I grew up a first-generation American of Kenyan descent. Both my parents are from Kenya, and I was born in New York but raised in Oklahoma. And my parents took me to Kenya for the first time when I was 8 years old, where I met my grandmother Nyakio, who I'm named after. And she was a coffee farmer, so she taught me my first beauty secret using Kenyan coffee beans and sugar cane that she grew on her farm. She would take the coffee beans, she would crush them down, she would add oils and use sugar cane rods to exfoliate her skin. So I was 8, but I think that's where my beauty journey began. And then my grandfather was a medicine man, and so he had the power to go out in nature and extract oils to treat the skin and ailments. And so my mom would use those techniques for skincare and to take care of my hair growing up. And then, you know, I moved out to Los Angeles right after I graduated from the University of Oklahoma, and really kind of fell in love with LA. It was a place for dreamers, and started working in the entertainment industry, and I started at a big talent agency as an assistant, and then went to a management company, went and worked on the production side at Universal, and then ended up working at a management company with representing actresses, working on desks that represented actresses, and really loved it, but loved the fashion and beauty aspect the most, and felt that the continent of Africa was very underrepresented in beauty. And so I decided to leave my job almost 20 years ago at 27 and start making my grandmother's coffee scrubs. So that's how I became an entrepreneur.
I love that story.
Aw,
I love how
thank
it's
you.
just so full circle, and like from your grandparents, what a neat gift to inherit.
Yeah, no, I mean everything. I mean, I think it's so important that we, in anything that we're building, that we tap into our authentic story. And for me personally, it brought me an even deeper connection. You know, growing up here in the States, I was so far away from my grandparents. I didn't get to see them every summer or every weekend like so many of my friends growing up. And so, you know, for me, it was really about cherishing those times, and how could I continue to bring them to life in my life as I got older.
So how long has Nykaio Beauty been around?
So I launched Nykaio Beauty. I left my job in 2001, and I launched it in August of 2002. So 19 years. Yeah, and it's
that's
had
amazing.
many kind of stops and starts and pivots, but you know, ultimately, you know, getting into Target this year was really a dream realized, and it, you know, just goes to show, like, just never give up.
Never give up. I mean, all that time, and then you finally got into Target. I kind of want to know what that felt like when you found out. Like, did you get a phone call? Was it an email? And like, how did that feel to like reach that point? It's huge.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, it was a process. I mean, you know, interestingly enough, in my career, I've had different moments where I've either approached Target or Target has approached me, and it was just never really the right time, or I didn't have the support that I needed in order to execute it in the way that I really, you know, dreamt of doing. And so, you know, it was always a goal. And so, yeah, it really started out by meeting the Target team a little over, almost a year and a half, almost 2 years ago, and pitching the brand to them, and they really loved the concept, and kind of going back and figuring out how to work out, you know, pricing and what formulas we should put in store, and so then got really excited that it was to launch in 2020, and we launched right before COVID online on Target.com with the expectation that we would go into stores right away, and then COVID happened, and so I went through that moment of like, gosh, is this really going to happen? And it was great to be at Target during COVID, because it was a place online that people were shopping for their essentials, and so they would discover Nykaio, and Nykaio really is about discovery. And then I got the call right, I guess, mid-fall, that yes, it would be launching into stores early 2021, and it was surreal. I cried, I screamed. I mean, it really is a dream realized. It's hard to even quantify in words, because there were so many moments, and I'm sure many people deal with this in their careers, and especially being an entrepreneur, where you're just like, I don't know if this is going to happen. I don't know if it's in the cards, but really the lesson is like the journey. And so now it's there, and I got to see it on shelf for the first time a couple weeks ago, and with my mask on. And it's surreal, and I'm just so happy that more people are going to be able to discover not only my family's beauty secrets, but the beauty secrets that I've learned in my travels around the globe, beauty secrets I've learned from my girlfriends, and really the brand celebrates these global beauty secrets by, you know, women who have maybe been underrepresented in premium beauty, you know, stories from Asia, from South Asia, from South America, but, you know, products and ingredients that work on all skin types and for people of all colors. So it's exciting.
I love that.
Thank you.
I mean, and I think that's something important to share with other female entrepreneurs out there.
Yeah.
That like it's going to be a journey.
Absolutely.
You're going to be tried and tested, and there's going to be lots of time that may go by.
Right.
But if you really feel called to do that and you're super passionate about it, that like you will someday end up in Target.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's true.
It's incredible.
It's, you know, I think when I was younger, you know, 2 decades ago, I would always kind of put this pressure on myself that when things weren't necessarily going my way, I looked at it as failure. And then what I've really learned in this journey and why I have such a trigger to the word failure, it's like it really kind of happened for me once I had kids. And, you know, you're teaching them to do things like ride their bike and they fall off their bike and you don't look at them and say, you know, get up, you're a failure, right? You look at your kids and you say the only failure is not getting back on the bike. That's the only part of failing when you fall. And so when you really apply that to any goals, you know, or any part of the journey, that a lot of those fall down moments that I had in my career really set me up for the better yeses and on the better path. And so I look back in like deep gratitude for the times that I found the most painful, or times that I had to start over or find new partners, or, you know, because they really just led me to where I am today. And I, you know, and as I continue to grow in this journey, I'm going to tap into that, because I know that for all the no's I've gotten in my life, it's that one yes that led me on the trajectory to where I am today.
I love that. I mean, I think too, being an entrepreneur myself is like you're always learning. You're always learning along the way, and it is. I struggle with that sometimes myself too, of like, oh my gosh, we failed at this thing, or like this thing didn't happen. But learning to look at it in a way like, if you don't win, you learn.
Right.
You don't lose.
Right.
You learn and you grow from that.
True. It's 100% true. Yeah, and it is. It's like, you know, being an entrepreneur it's not a cakewalk, right? It's not for the faint of heart. All the cliches, and you know, like who doesn't want to be their own boss, right? But that comes with a lot of lessons and resilience and patience and going easy on yourself.
Totally.
And just enjoying the journey. And that's what I think is the most beautiful part about entrepreneurship, is that you really get to choose to work in a career that you're passionate about. And so you just have to tap into that passion even in the hard days.
Yeah. Love that. Now let's talk about 13 Loon.
Yes.
You launched this company in 2020, which was an extremely challenging year.
Yes.
So tell us about what this company means to you.
Oh, yes. So I decided to start another business in 2020. But yeah, it's deeply personal for me. In the summer of, so we've all lived and are still currently living in the moments of 2020. But, you know, beyond the global pandemic, in the summer of 2020, we really hit, at least for, you know, this point in our lifetime, the most pinnacle moment of systemic racism, which in itself is a pandemic and a virus. And so after the murder of George Floyd, it was this conflicting moment where I found myself and my brand receiving all of this attention, you know, top 20 Black-owned brands to shop, or top 20 Black-owned or, you know, founded brands to follow. And so while the attention was beautiful and humbling, and to see your sales, you know, grow, and it was attention that I, as a Black female founder, had never really experienced, even though I'd kind of been doing this for so long. It was at a level that I didn't recognize, but it was also built on the precipice of this like heartbreaking time, and you know, so many people were grieving, and so I had this moment in my life where I was like, you know, I've got to turn this pain into purpose. Like, why is it that I've been on this journey? You know, why is it that I'm a Black female founder who creates products for people of all colors, and what is this narrative? And so I would go through the list as a consumer and try to shop all these beauty brands, and I was surprised by a few things, one of which is I couldn't believe how many amazing Black-owned beauty brands there were that I'd never heard of before. Two, I was still shocked that, and people wanting to do the right thing and shop Nyakio Beauty, that I was getting DMs from people saying, I really want to support you and your brand. Can I use it on my skin tone? And that narrative was still so lost that, we as Black or brown people have been buying products made by people who are not Black or brown our whole lives, with the expectation and the assumption that they're going to work on our skin, that they're going to work on our hair. And like, we do the same thing.
Yeah.
We are our own test market. Like, I don't create skincare products that don't work on my skin, but it doesn't mean they don't work on your skin. And so, I felt a real responsibility to help change that narrative. And then third, and I think most importantly, is that as we're dealing with systemic racism, we have to look at the root of the problem. And for me, and in my observation, the root of the problem is the fact that there's still not enough generational wealth in our Black and brown communities. And if we're not building generational wealth, then there's no financial equity, which means that people can come in and do bad things to you under the guise of authority because they think it's okay, because we're not playing on a level playing field. And I love the beauty industry. I've worked in the beauty industry for almost 20 years, and it's one of the things that I love the most about it is that beauty is universal. And so we have not only an opportunity in the beauty industry, but a responsibility to help unify. And there's nothing more fun than unifying through the lens of beauty. And so my business partner, my co-founder, Patrick, he and I both just preach inclusivity and have been talking about ways to collaborate since long before 2020. He has a company called 11 on Array that he founded that's all about inclusive sizing. And he really was kind of at the forefront of being a founder who helped many designers start designing clothes for women bigger than a size 12 or 14. And so that women, that were average size, not even larger size, right? This is what the norm is, could enjoy wearing couture clothing and beautiful clothing and feel beautiful in their skin. And so, that was his lens of inclusivity through fashion, mine through beauty. So we talked about coming together to create something. And then in the summer of 2020, we knew that we wanted to create a platform where we could sell all of these beautiful BIPOC, not just Black owned. We started with 13 Black owned businesses, and now we're 10 weeks old, and we have 30 brands.
Oh my gosh.
That a complete BIPOC brands of all people of color brands. And but also fostered an allyship, because we understand that in order to come together, we have to unify. And so we have pledged 85% of our retail assortment will be products made by people of color who make products for people of all colors, but 15% of our brands on our site, and we'll be launching our first ally brand at the end of this, I think April, will be by people who are not Black or brown, but founders who have long been formulating for all, have been considering melanin-rich skin and textured hair in their formulations, have been really vocal at this time and movement in the Black Lives Matter movement to do the right thing, to be non-performative, and to give us all an opportunity to do what the beauty industry should be doing all along, which is come together and sell great products and tell great stories and ultimately, build this generational wealth that I was speaking about.
I mean, the fact that you are listening to what is going on and you're doing something to make a difference with what's going on in the world, and you're setting the tone and the standard in your industry alone. I mean, that's going to make a big wave, right? So it's not, you're making that change, like deep rooted change, so that it's not just these companies coming in and just having just a laser focus and not, keeping it open and inclusive for people, and they have their own agenda and their thing. It's like not about that. Right. So I really feel that you're setting that tone and that good example for others in your industry, and I just think it's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's an opportunity that I think, one of the things that I love the most is so many of the brand founders that have joined us at 13 Loon, and I feel this way because I am a Black beauty founder. Say things to me like, finally this exists for us. And while there have been marketplaces that have existed that sell, Black owned products or brown owned products, we're doing it from the lens of inclusivity to be a place where we can all come together. And so that's something that I'm really excited about, but I'm also really excited about the commitment that, we have, that forever and always it'll be 85% BIPOC owned brands. And then we also have this whole editorial side of our business, which is really storytelling and celebrating and amplifying these founders and these brands, and the products are incredible. They're highly curated. We have an incredible Vanguard program, which is our internal influencer program, completely unpaid, and it's various celebrities, makeup artists, hairstylists, tastemakers that have all come together. They help us vet the products, they share about the products, and so it's been pretty incredible because, as we know in business, marketing dollars are everything, and we haven't had to turn on our marketing dollars yet because it's been so organic that people are sharing 13 Loon, and we have an incredible group of people who've invested in the company, and you know, some of them are known for their celebrity life of music or acting, but they've all been the celebrities to me of being, you know, people who have truly learned how to build businesses and been real entrepreneurs in you know, this space. And so I'm happy that they've invested in us, and you know, so it's all great.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
That is
so
very,
much.
very exciting.
Thank you.
Now, you clearly know what it takes to make big things happen. I mean, both of these businesses are booming, and literally launching one of them in the hardest year probably ever for everyone in the world, but doing it for good and for change and positivity. So do you have any daily habits or rituals that you do that are like a non-negotiable for you, that's your go-to, that helps you to stay like sane and on top of all that you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, you know, living this past year with, you know, my kids going to school in their bedrooms and all of us being under one roof, in some ways has been absolutely magical and beautiful, and I would never have imagined that I would get this time with my family. But, you know, it becomes even more important to set aside that time for yourself. And so for me, kind of my non-negotiables are, it starts with rest, and I'm a avid believer in the power of naps.
Yes.
People are like, how do you sleep? How do you have time? And I'm like, I nap a lot.
Okay, how long do you nap for?
I try not to nap for more than 30 minutes.
Okay, same.
Yeah.
I love naps too. Right at the sweet spot of 20 is good.
Yeah.
If I go over 30,
I'm like shot for the day. Yeah. So it's usually like, by the time I lay down, it takes me a good 6 to 7 minutes to fall asleep. I fall asleep pretty easily.
Yeah.
And then if the alarm is set 30 minutes later, if I get up like a couple minutes after the alarm, it's fine. But anything longer than that, then I'm just, you know, then I'm done for the day. But yeah, so I believe in the power of naps. It's also really good for your skin. Sleep is paramount. And then obviously exercise is really important to me. I grew up dancing my whole life, so any sort of workouts that are about, you know, dance focus like yours, I just love to dance. I think it's really freeing. Meditation is really important to me. But the other thing that's also really important to me, and it's a little bit more challenging in COVID, is that, you know, I consider my girlfriends to be my family as well, and I have a very strong network of incredible, supportive women. It's my tribe. And so, you know, in COVID, it's been a lot of, you know, Zoom happy hours, or I do this thing called circling with my friend who started this company called The Art of Circling, and it's, you know, basically it's like we gather together and it's just another form of hanging out. It teaches you active listening. We use a talking stick even on Zoom, and we set intentions, we manifest, we wish for each other. And so I do regular circling with my girlfriends, which is amazing. It's just a different way of hanging out. It's the same girls I hang out with when I hang out, but we do these dedicated rituals and circles, and that's magical. And
so how does that work? Is it like whoever has the talking stick gets to speak, and you have a certain time to like express what it is that's on your...
it's not even, I mean, we say like keep it lean, so speak of yourself. You only speak of yourself, so it's not a moment to like complain about your husband, you know. This is like about this is about speaking of yourself. So there'll be a prompt. So my friend, and you should visit The Art of Circling, and Andrea Bendewald is her name, that you can find her on Instagram, and she lists, and she does public circles too, so you can do private ones with just your friends, or you can do some of her group circles. But there's always a prompt, or kind of an intention that's set at the beginning of the circle. And so, for instance, say we're doing one like on the full moon, and it'll be like, you know, what are the new moon? You know, what do you wish for? What do you want to let go of? What do you want to forgive yourself for? And then we just basically virtually now pass a talking stick, and you'll speak about, you know, like, I want to get rid of anxiety and fear, and that's what I want to wish for. And then we as a group, like, meditate on letting go of Erica's fear.
I love
and
that.
And then we support each other through the month until the next. But the active listening and the using the talking stick is so powerful because it really allows, as women, we're always like, our brains work on overdrive. So it's like, as we're listening to someone, we're already thinking about what we want to say. And circling has really helped me to not make it about me and my experience with what's coming out of your mouth. It's about being there in support of you and actively listening. And what you learn very quickly is by doing that a lot of what that person is sharing actually applies to your own life, but you're not making it about you, So it's just an amazing practice. And pretty much I've been doing it for, almost 16 years with the same group of women. And everything that I manifested and wished for 16 years ago has either come true or is in motion, and knowing that I have the support of those other women, and also give the support to those other women really helps to make stuff happen.
That is such a neat thing. I had never really heard.
Oh,
I've heard
beautiful.
of something maybe similar to that, of like the, having the stick or like talking at moments. But I mean, having that group to always go to, like, how often do y'all meet?
Once a month.
Once a month.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we also do it for various reasons, like birthdays, or if someone's getting married, or if someone's passed, like we'll do a ritual for a friend if they've lost a parent or a pet or whatever. So, it just depends. But what we try to do it at least once a month, and we'll bring astrology into it, kind of where the world is, and prayer and meditation.
I mean, you just probably feel so supported and loved through that, and especially 100%. After so many years of being with the same women, how neat is that to go on each other's journeys with each other through life?
Absolutely. Yeah, I feel very blessed to have that. And so, that's a very much of a non-negotiable for me too. It's just that time with women and with my girlfriend.
Yeah, I'm gonna check that out. I love that.
Definitely.
I will. Okay, so you have 2 kids of your own.
Yes.
And you do volunteer work for other local children's organizations.
Absolutely.
What is a message you'd like kids to hear and understand right now in today's world?
Oh my gosh, so much. But I think it's just to constantly be asking yourself, what can I do better for the collective? And for little kids, that would mean, what can I do, not making it about me, but like how with my gifts and my talents and my heart and my soul can I just do better? And that can mean being kind to someone who maybe doesn't have a lot of friends on the playground, or helping a teacher out because they work so hard, or if you're still at home going to school, like maybe you have a friend who doesn't have internet service, or their family might need more than your family. Like, how can you talk to your parents about helping them out? And for my kids specifically, it's like just leading with kindness. You know, how do you just lead with kindness?
Yeah. I mean, you set the example for them very well.
Thank you.
You really do. For self-love, because a lot of times women can't find that for themselves, especially being mothers and running businesses and doing all the things.
Right.
How do you practice that for yourself, and why is it important to you?
Yeah, I mean, it's so interesting. We as women have a hard time with confidence. And I think that self-love really stems from confidence, and confidence is self-love, right? So I think, especially for some of us who grew up at a certain time, like confidence could be cocky or being boastful, and we have to drop that story, because no one is ever going to love you as much as you love yourself.
Yeah.
Right? So if you don't love yourself, you're basically showing the world that you don't think you deserve love. So I think it's being okay, being comfortable in the uncomfortable, being okay to say that you don't know something, or you're not the best at something, and being confident in that, owning it.
Yeah.
Women are super duper powerful, and I think honestly that they'll heal the world, they'll heal the planet, they're nurturers, they can multitask, we can do so much with our innate talent and good. you know, and there's things that we just have to stop apologizing for. You know, it's something I had to practice in my own life, that every time I would start to cry, I'd say, oh my gosh, I'm sorry, I'm crying. I'm sorry, I'm crying. Apologizing. Like, our emotions are, the way that we emote is our superpower. So if we start apologizing for crying, that means that we stop apologizing for like the nurture and nature that lives within us. So like, one of my number one pieces of advice is like, as a woman, stop yourself from apologizing for crying.
Yep.
Own your tears.
Yep.
They're welcome, right? And they're healing. I say that to my daughter all the time, my son all the time. Like, it's absolutely, I will never tell you not to cry.
Yeah.
Like, that is how you're sharing your feelings. And so I think, yeah, it's just working on our confidence, and there's different ways we can practice that. But yeah, I think that being confident is the number one way we can love each other and love ourselves.
Yeah. I love that. Well, I have one last question for you, and I end all of my interviews like this, and it is, what does Rep Your Womanhood mean to you?
My gosh, such a powerful title. And Rep My Womanhood, I think, is just living my own authentic life, and sharing my authentic story, and doing everything in my power to, you know, it sounds cliche, but just make the world or the space that I'm occupying better and kinder. And, you know, I think a big part of repping our womanhood is just owning our power.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what it means to me.
I mean, and you're doing that, and that's exactly why I wanted to have you on here, is to share your message, your gift with other women out there, so that you can inspire them too to go out and be awesome and own their truth confidently and kindly with the rest of the world.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much for taking the time.
I'm so honored to be number 3, and I'm really so deeply proud of you for everything that you're building, and all the joy that you've brought me over the years, dancing and laughing and giving me my confidence and in these classes. And, you know, I'm excited to see all you're building and all that you're going to do.
Thank you so much. And you guys, be sure to check out Nyakio Beauty 13 Loon. Check out what she has going on. It's a beautiful thing that she's sharing with the world. So be sure to check that out. Thank you.
Thank you.